Uncle Marvin, my mom's older brother, that nigga never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. But he loyal and tough, and he always eating.
Something in this game you can never risk having around are loose ends, and that's what both Detective Burke and Sam the Crackhead are. They're loose ends, which need to be taken care of. But Marvin made a huge mistake when he decided to be a good person at the wrong time, because you can never take a junkie's word, and Marvin should have eliminated the threat. But it goes back around to how Marvin decided to do good. And there are two factors to consider when it comes to Marvin's turn of character. He wants to show Juke he's someone who can change and be a better person, but we also can't underestimate the impact of Renee's death. Renee was a mentor who turned into a friend, and who knows, she could have potentially turned into Marvin's love interest, especially with the way they were going. And it is safe to say, the impact she had on Marvin was game changing, and is definitely going to have a long lasting effect, because she was able to tame his anger where not many could, and it started to pay off with how he was able to reconnect with Juke. But on the flip side, Renee's death definitely forced Marvin to reflect on some of the fucked up shit he's done, which no doubt contributed towards the decision he made with Sam, a decision which will come back to haunt him and Rock.
Hey yo, let me off this motherfucking bus.
Marvin should have known never to trust a crackhead, and so after all the rebuilding Marvin's done with Rock, in regards to the family business, it's about to be undone due to Marvin's decision making. But Marvin's story is a lot more deeper than just Sam. The relationship with Jukebox is moving forward, and it is something I'm going to come back around to in this video, because I do think it's an important factor in Marvin's character development and the decision he eventually made at the end of episode 9. Now, I do think it's important to take it back to season 1 to paint the whole picture of a different layers to Marvin's characters, especially with how we've gone from Marvin talking to Frank the inspector about all his problems while burying him in the walls, to Marvin putting Sam on the bus to Atlanta, giving him a wad of cash, all while telling him it's not too late to change. And it is because he's someone who's going through something similar, where change is the only thing that will save his relationship with Juke. But we were introduced to Marvin in season 1 as the older brother to Lou and Rock, and it was never easy for Marvin just to sit back and take orders from his baby sister, especially considering he was the one who raised both of them when their parents were on their own shit. We also learned a bit more history about Marvin, with how he was someone who was taking his own product and selling it out of his own house, which landed him with doing a bid in Elmira. And as we found out in season 2, Kenya would have played a big role in Marvin spiraling out of control. We could see the hair in his eyes at the fact he had to relive the story of Kenya leaving. This also took precious time away from him and Juke, although we can make a case where it may have even been Rock who decided to get rid of Marvin to take control. And so this brings us back round to the family business. All Marvin's ever wanted was to be treated equally and be given more responsibility in the family operation. But at times in season 1, Marvin didn't really help himself by bringing Kanan on board to move the cash from the stash house to the bodega, because this ended up with Kanan having a gun pointed towards his head. There were also countless of bodies that dropped on the street because he decided to set up his own operation in Van Wyck, which was Kanan's idea. But because of Kanan's bad batch, they ended up killing a lot of junkies, which confirmed to Marvin he should never have got into business with Kanan in the first place. And there was this fight with Jukebox. He was also someone who was constantly being dismissed by his younger brother and sister, and it was never a nice feeling for Marvin.
See, this is our older brother's problem right here. He don't listen. So focused on telling a new lie to cover up the old lie that he don't hear what I'm saying, which is shut the fuck up.
But one thing which Marvin always showed was his loyalty to his family.
Yo, but we'll never give up on family.
No doubt.
It was at the beginning of season 1 when Marvin made his intentions clear. He was fiercely loyal to those he loves, and just like he said in the trailer for episode 10, they need to take care of each other because they've all they've got. But aggression and this anger was something Marvin found hard to control, something which Renee was able to help Marvin tame. And with him showing different layers of comic relief, caring, and emotion so far in season 2, we're yet to see this aggressive side, which has helped him in his personal life, but also worked against him in the street game, because he has this ability to never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. But before we get to his decision making with Sam, I think one of the most fundamental conversations which had an even deeper meaning was this conversation with Jukebox.
So I'm sorry for the shit I done, for the shit I didn't do. I'm gonna try to do good now.
Now, subtle gestures and show of emotion in Raising Kanan definitely helps paint a picture of where our character's mental state is. And with Marvin, who's a character who's always eating, but not scoffing his face with a burger and chips in front of him, was telling in so many ways, because he had a lot to get off his chest. He admitted that he'd done a lot of bad shit, but he's also done a lot of good, and he thought the good will balance out with the bad, but it's not even nearly enough. And with Juke telling him he had to work on himself first, no doubt Renee's death and this conversation with Juke had a role to play in his decision with Sam. But just before we get to the mistake with Sam, this relationship with Juke is definitely getting closer. We had Juke scream dad for the first time in episode 8, and they finally had this sit down where Marvin's opened up to Juke about how he's feeling, and I can only see this relationship getting stronger and stronger as the series goes on. But eventually something will have to give, and it is too early to say how it will happen or when, but Marvin's eventual death will now have a huge impact on Juke and definitely contribute to the character we saw on Power. Now that we've established the impact from Marvin's past, Renee's death, him wanting to build this relationship with Juke, let's talk about the decision not to kill Sam. Now, Sam was someone who was always going to come back and play an important part after he saw Kanan at Paisley Park. But the problem with the crackhead is, just like Marvin found out, you can never trust what they say. And that's why when he was picked up by the cops, nobody believed him, apart from Detective Burke, because it only made sense to her because of how she was digging into Howard's history. And with Burke sniffing around Sam, both Howard and Rock decided it was time for him to go. And as Kanan told us at the beginning of season 1, they talk in code.
I'm needing assist on some old accounts that need settling. I know you're still getting your head right, but it's time sensitive.
Collect him?
And we gotta cash it out.
Now, ironically, we also saw a role reversal with Lou getting one back for Marvin, like Marvin did for him in season 1. But this was also another callback and a role reversal from something else we saw in season 1.
Might be the time to get your Reggie Jackson on.
Rock asked Lou to kill D-Wiz, something which he didn't want to do, and at the time, she was asking Marvin to do something which he would never have hesitated to do in season 1. But because of him wanting to change, instead of killing Sam, he put him on a bus to Atlanta, gave him a wad of cash, and tried to talk sense to a crackhead by telling him it's not too late to turn his life around. But how Marvin trusted a word of a crackhead is beyond me, and it is going to be a costly mistake, because no doubt he will talk to Burke or play some sort of role in episode 10. And so not only will this put Burke along the right path of Kanan being Howard's shooter, it will also allow her to connect the dots to Kanan being Howard's son, which she has mostly figured out anyway. But Rock can't afford for that information to get to the streets, because Law 5 from the 48 Laws of Power teaches us a lot depends on your reputation, and so you need to guard it with your life. And if that secret was ever to come out of her being a CI and how Kanan was Howard's son, it really is game changing for Rock, because she may end up losing the rest of her family and this power and credibility she desires in the street. And so Burke has to go one way or another, either by losing her badge or catching a hot one. And as much as Sam the crackhead has played the role of a drug fiend as well as anyone could have, he'll have to go as well. Because knowing too much information you don't need to know in Power, that makes you a loose end, and loose ends need to get tied up in episode 10. And so with that being said, that's a breakdown of the history and backstory with Marvin and how past events contributed towards this decision he made with Sam the crackhead, but ultimately a decision he'll soon live to regret, but also a decision which no doubt will lead to death. So drop all your thoughts down below and let me know how you see this playing out with Sam, Rock, Jukebox and Marvin. And of course, if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.